You're about to be walked through the stories of multiple loyal Trump voters who ended up bearing the brunt of his erratic, unpredictable economic damage. To break this down, I'm bringing in contributor Chris Mowrey. Show him some love in the comment section below and watch.
Donald Trump's spending bill has passed the Senate. It is on its way to the House of Representatives, where it looks poised to pass. And I cannot stress enough how unpopular this bill is by every metric, by every pollster, Democrat, Republican, Independent. I mean, when we're seeing Fox News run polls of, hey, 60% of people disapprove of Donald Trump's main piece, giant piece of fiscal legislation, like the piece of legislation Donald Trump has praised, we're in trouble. We're in serious trouble. Fox should be running defense. And when they're not running defense, you know it's really bad. And what we're seeing is so many Trump supporters come out in fierce opposition to this because they're being screwed over. And I want to get into a story that hits home for me because I was born and raised in the state of Georgia, went to Kennesaw State University, hooty hoo, for just a little bit, taking a break right now. But I promise you I'm going to get a degree from Al University. Mom and Dad, I'm going to make it happen. And this story hits home for me. North Georgia, one of our largest investments ever in the state, a solar company that produces solar panels. We may lose this investment because of this bill. And who brought us this investment? Why did we get it? Joe Biden. What a surprise. Now listen, before we get into it, my name's Chris Mowrey, filling in for Adam Mockler on the Adam Mockler channel. If you enjoy this type of content, the link to my YouTube channel will be in the description down below. You guys have shown so much love. I just blew past 50,000 subscribers, and I couldn't have done it without you. So thank you so much. On this channel, we're trying to build something to punch back against MAGA media, uplift Gen Z voices going into 2026, 2028, and beyond. And if you want to be a part of this growing community, all you have to do is click subscribe down below. All right, let's get into this. Now, before I get into this story particularly, I want to show you some of the stories we're already hearing and some of the polling we are getting after this bill has passed. A growing number of President Donald Trump's core supporters are beginning to feel the adverse effects of his administration's major legislative initiatives, with evidence mounting that the very Americans who helped elect him are now bearing the brunt of his policies. And if we scroll down here, public opinion polls further reinforce the growing dissatisfaction. As I mentioned earlier, a recent Fox News survey found that a majority of white men without a college degree, demographically considered the backbone of Trump's electoral base, oppose the, quote, big, beautiful bill. And a particularly revealing moment recently, even Trump's own internal pollster acknowledged that many of the president's supporters feel disillusioned and betrayed by the direction of his policies. And again, we've seen this within the Trump administration, just within the DC bubble itself. A lot of supporters of Trump essentially signaling like, hey, you need to be careful because when you pass this bill, your supporters are going to turn on you. And it kind of seems like to me that's what's happening. People are confused. Donald Trump ran on this idea that he was going to, cut the deficit, that 3 months ago we were spending into oblivion, so we need to cut cancer research funding in order to fix this problem. And now all of a sudden we're adding, 3, 4, 5 trillion-ish to the deficit with this bill, exploding the deficit, taking people off their health insurance, cutting SNAP benefits to make room for tax cuts that mainly benefit the top 5, 10, 20% of Americans. It's like, if I was a Trump supporter, I would be astonishingly confused. Additionally, the president's tariffs aimed at restructuring global trade are beginning to bite economically in rural and industrial, regions that overwhelmingly supported him in 2024. Quote, the level of disregard for the well-being of their own voters is astonishing. I certainly agree with that. And so we move to a story that just broke recently. Jason Barrett of Martinsburg, West Virginia, is a Republican legislator from West Virginia, 16th District. Barrett switched from voting blue to voting red in 2020. Now his 94-year-old grandmother will no longer afford her nursing home bill after Trump's One Beautiful bill gutted Medicaid. So this is just one story that's broken in the last 24 hours to kind of zoom in. We hear a lot of dissatisfaction, and how is it actually affecting people? Well, this is a fascinating story. This is a state legislator. I bring you to the CBS article that was posted. Jason Barrett visits his 94-year-old grandmother, Ruth Rainey, at the Martinsburg Healthcare Center in West Virginia as often as he can. Medicaid will soon be covering the cost of Rainey's care, putting her among the 77% of West Virginia nursing home residents and 63% of nursing home residents nationwide who rely on the program, referring to Medicaid. But the funding could be cut by $930 billion over the next 10 years by the massive spending bill approved by the Senate on Tuesday. I record this on Wednesday. The concern is those cuts could lead to reduced staffing and tighten eligibility requirements in long-term care facilities nationwide. Nancy Mason, who runs the nursing home where Rainey lives, said she's concerned about the impact on their operational costs. And Barrett isn't just a concerned grandson, he's a Republican state senator in West Virginia. Quote, "We have to get to a place where we're balancing our budget again. I don't think we do that on the backs of nursing home residents." I agree 100% with the state representative here, but why are you a GOP official? At this point in American history, there's a large coalition of people who consider themselves conservative, who despise Donald Trump, understandably so, because he's not really a conservative. And so if you're, kind of feeling that here, Jason, leave the party. I don't know why you flipped in the first place, but it's just stunning. And again, his own mother is going to rely on this Medicaid funding. And genuinely, I wish well for the representative's mother. But it's incredibly sad. And so I bring you back to the original story we started with, which is kind of a different angle. You have, obviously people dissatisfied it's increasing the deficit, people dissatisfied with obviously the cuts to healthcare, and now this relating to the environment. A Georgia town that solidly backed Trump could fall victim to his tax bill's green energy cuts. The Q-Cell solar panel plant is seen here near Cartersville, Georgia, when two South Korean companies announced a multi-billion-dollar investment to build solar panel and electric battery factories in Northwest Georgia. Federal subsidies helped close the deal to diversify the local economy. The factories promised thousands of new jobs, transforming the manufacturing base in Cartersville, once a cotton mill town, before an Anheuser-Busch brewery arrived in the 1990s and a tire plant in 2006. This investment in this company, this solar panel company in North Georgia, is huge. I mean, it was one of the largest investments in the state, thousands of jobs to an area, Northwest Georgia. This would be near Barry Loudermilk's district, which is really right next to Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. Tends to be a lower income, struggles with, things like poverty, et cetera. And so we get this massive investment that's now being threatened because Republicans in Congress with this bill want to gut the subsidies for projects across the country in a tax cut bill likely days from final passage, referring to the big, beautiful bill. President Donald Trump's signature legislation could harm Cartersville despite it being in overwhelmingly Republican Bartow County, which backed Trump with 75% of the vote all three times he appeared on the ballot. Now, both companies say they're continuing their build-out plans, but Steve Taylor, a Republican who is Bartow County's lone elected commissioner, says ending the tax credits would be, quote, a little concerning. So we're threatening these huge investments in the state of Georgia. Who brought these huge investments? I mean, the Biden-Harris administration announces nearly $430 million to accelerate domestic clean energy manufacturing in former coal communities. And one of these communities was Cartersville, Georgia, near Marjorie Taylor Greene's district. I mean, I don't know. Frankly, it's just stunning. We've got to keep pushing this news out so the people who are going to be affected by this know how to vote. Whether it's, North Georgia or Tennessee or Pennsylvania or California, I don't care. But most of the time you're voting for Republicans and Donald Trump, you're voting against all of our interests, all of our best interests. There's nothing good in this bill. It's taking away jobs, it's taking away health care, it's taking away all these things. So as I record this, it is not passed the House of Representatives, so keep pushing. We can do this one day at a time. I appreciate you watching this video. Truly, it means a lot. Once again, my name's Chris Mowrey, filling in for Adam Mockler on the Adam Mockler channel. If you enjoyed this video, it would mean a lot if you clicked like and subscribe down below. And once again, the link to my YouTube channel will be in the description down below. You guys are the best. I hope you have a great rest of your week heading into July 4th weekend. Please be safe out there. I'm sure a lot of you guys are going to go party, have fun. Honestly, Adam and I might do the same. Don't tell him I told you that. But we're going to be safe. If you are having drinks, please Uber. Please, I'm begging you. That's all I ask. Be safe, make smart decisions, use Uber. All right, and have a good, fun weekend. Appreciate you watching. I'll see you in the next video.